Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Bob Culture Podcast. It's Podcast D.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special Hell in a Cell edition of the Bob Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Bob Man, and we are ready to rock and roll. We got the best wrestling panel around. Of course, I am joined by the Anti-Smark and now writer for the PopBreak.com. He's tearing it up with those SmackDown Live reviews every week. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the Anti-Smark, Mr. Matt Widdis. Matt, what's up, bro? How are you?
Hey, Rob. Hello, everybody.
Hey, man. Good to have you here, man, as always. I'm looking forward to those one-liners. Of course, we are joined by former WWE Magazine writer and a senior editor over at thepopbreak.com. We got Michael Dworkis. We call him MSD. How are you, bro?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for once again having me on the show.
It's an honor and a privilege, sir. And, of course, we have the man, the myth, the legend, and I'm just, poaching all of his Pop Break writers. Of course, the editor-in-chief, the founder and director of thepopbreak.com, Mr. Bill Bodkin. What's up, bro?
Oh, bro, I am ready. And if Matt Riddle was on this pay-per-view, I'd be way more excited than I am right now.
That's true.
I love wrestling, so let's do this.
Let's do this thing. All right, so we are here, of course, for the Hell in the Cell edition of the Bob Culture Podcast, or as I like to call it, what is Jeff Hardy going to jump off of? And on stuff. That's right. Probably a cage, but we'll get there, or a cell, I should say, but we'll get there later. Of course, we are gentlemen, and I use that term loosely on the Bob Culture Podcast, so we're going to do ladies first, and we're going to go right into it. The SmackDown Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch. Bill, I'm going to start with you because I believe it was you and probably some of the other guys that said Becky is going to do that heel turn, and you were right on, man. The heel turn happened. The fans are still behind her. I know you and I were talking about this a little bit, kind of cheering her even though she's a heel. It's an interesting situation. What's your take on it, and who do you think is going to walk out with the title in this one?
Well, the bullshit of this story right off the bat, let's get that E for egregious language from Bill Bodkin, is this is not a Lethal Lockdown, Full Metal Meltdown, TNA Lockdown pay-per-view where every match is in a cage. Because I know I made that joke earlier, and that probably didn't get over at all, but in reality, I feel like we had a great Hell in a Cell between Sasha and Charlotte a few years back, and you know what? I really think this would have been a great Hell in a Cell match for Becky Lynch and Charlotte. I know it's kind of a little too early in the feud to be doing this, but hey, we kind of did that with Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton. But whatever. That's my long way of saying this is going to be a tough one to call. The cool thing to do would be give Becky the title, because if anyone needs a title, a new heel Becky Lynch will be awesome. However, going into the first all-women's pay-per-view, you would think Charlotte would have the title. So you know what? I just reconvinced myself that Becky Lynch is going to win the title at this event, because what's going to happen is she will win the title here, and then at the Evolution pay-per-view, the first women's pay-per-view, Charlotte Flair will win the gold back. It'll be a 1-month reign for Becky Lynch, and Charlotte gets her moment to shine. So I am going with straight fire, Surfer Sting, the female version, Becky Lynch winning the title.
There it is. All right, you heard it here first from Bill Bodkin. He was right last time. Let's throw it over to the Anti-Smark. I see him over there. He's got his notes ready to go. What do you got?
No, it's
notes? Oh my God.
Hey, we take it seriously. Oh yeah.
I'm not great at improv, so I was right there with Bill when he was mentioning that, it would be great to see it on Becky, and this feud looks like it's going to go a while, so there would be nothing wrong with putting it on her now. Charlotte wins it back at Evolution. It's kind of curious, though, with again, everybody is behind Becky. She's the heel. If you look at it on paper, Charlotte's done nothing wrong, but the sympathy over the past 2 years is absolutely with Becky. And I was bringing up with the Human Wrestling Encyclopedia, we're living in a post-Tony Soprano world. Somebody doesn't have to be the good guy. Somebody doesn't have to be on the side of right for that person to be, the protagonist, for people to identify with. And it looks like they're going to be doing their best to drown out the cheers for Becky when she wins at Hell in the Cell.
Yeah, okay. Who do you see walking out with the title?
I think it's going to be Becky. I think by hook or by crook, she's going to get it, and this is going to continue on for at least a few more months.
Yeah, okay. Very good stuff. MSD, what do you got?
I'm going to have to make it 3 for 3 because I also feel that Becky Lynch is going to walk away with the championship. It makes sense. She's freshly heel. Having her go up against Charlotte and lose will just pretty much, kill off any of the momentum that she's been building over the past couple weeks. And like you were just saying, that they've been trying to really push hard that she's a heel. They've been altering the sound. They've been drowning out the cheers for Becky and trying to replace it with pumped in boos from the crowd on the YouTube replays or the Hulu replays. But this is a time where fans are going to cheer who they want to see. Fans wanted to see the Lynch heel turn. They got what they wanted, and they're happy with it. I think it'd be smarter for Lynch to win the title. This way, she and Charlotte Flair can have a program for a couple months, maybe leading to Survivor Series or the Royal Rumble. So yeah, like I said, I have to agree that Becky Lynch will walk out of Hell in the Cell with the championship, and the fans will love it.
Yeah, good stuff. Go ahead, Matt. You got something real quick.
No, I was just going to point out that in wrestling, more than a lot of other forms of entertainment, the performer and the character are linked by us, the audience. And like I said, Becky can, go kick a puppy in the middle of the ring as part of the act, but we've now known Becky for a few years. We all love her, and we're all happy for her when she's winning or losing or in that main event picture. If it happens as a bad guy, that's still a win for Becky Lynch, the person. So we're all reacting that way. And that seems to be something that just happens in the industry now.
True. Yeah, no, really well said, and I couldn't agree more. I mean, real talk here. Becky is being cheered by the fans. She's a heel. Totally to your point, Matt. I thought they were going to do something to make her, to make us hate her because she was so likable by everybody. And let's be honest, on this podcast, we always pick Becky. I mean, we always pick Becky. I almost don't want to break that streak.
It's wishful thinking sometimes, but we always pick Becky.
It's like Becky and Styles every time for the most part. But I think, or I should say, I thought they were going to do make her do something deplorable. You said kick a puppy. Obviously, I hope they wouldn't do that, but I get what you're saying.
They gave her the cowardly sneak attack on SmackDown this
which
week.
is classic heel.
Which is classic heel, but like I said, it didn't make her look
they made
scummy
her curse.
And weak at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
And people were loving that.
Oh, yeah.
When she said, I'm taking my title back, you bitch.
Yeah.
And people cheer.
Yeah, they were all about it. And, on SmackDown, Charlotte's taking the selfie with the fan, and Becky's, disguised as the fan, takes off the black wig and just, jumps over the rail.
Very JayCrow-esque, I must admit.
Dude,
yes,
I thought the same thing. Dead on. Oh, totally. But, go ahead.
Here's the thing, Becky, they're really trying to push this heel persona, but the thing is that they built her up as she's straight fire, which I always hate that, but it's just she's known as a fighter, and so she's just basically doing what you expect Becky Lynch to do, and that's to fight for what she wants, and that's exactly what she's doing. I also fear the fact that we all are saying, yeah, Becky Lynch should win, means WWE is going to have her lose, because they're
I agree.
They'll figure something else out to have them fight again.
I 100% agree with that, Bill. I was going to pick Becky leading up to tonight, and I thought about it. Probably thought about it, wasted more time thinking about it than I should. But I think Charlotte...
Your wife is like, stop thinking about Becky Lynch so much. You're like, all right.
Yeah. And then she stabs me. But what was I saying? I think Charlotte's going to walk out of Hell in a Cell with the title, and that's going to set up Becky to do that deplorable thing. I don't know what it is, like something to make us hate her at least a little bit. And then I think she goes to Evolution, wins the title at the first all-female pay-per-view, Evolution. I think that's when Becky wins it. So I'm going to say Charlotte Flair on this one. I'll go against the grain. And I'll be, like Mike always says, the real winners are going to be the fans.
I think the best thing for, if they're going to have her lose, she needs to do something, because no one's going to boo her, because it's hard to, she's a Flair, so, they cheat. They're the elite, not, in the wrestling world, but, they're, the upper class, and so no one really, people will cheer for them, but someone else that they like goes against them. They're not going to boo them. They didn't boo Sting when he went against Ric Flair, even when Ric Flair was a good guy. It was, they need to have Charlotte have a reason to be mad enough to have that rematch. So, I would love to see it if, Becky Lynch, and they won't do it, but, pulls a pile driver to the outside, or, does a move that really tries to injure Charlotte. Because I think that would be, one, reinforce Becky's character as someone who's just, doesn't give a shit brawler who wants what she wants, and then infuriate Charlotte to be what, you tried to break my neck, my father's back was broken, and or how Terry Funk tried to, break my dad's neck, which they'll never reference, but something that would make Charlotte angry, and then we could have a stipulation match for Evolution, because if Becky loses, they have to do something like that to get a stipulation match where Charlotte can win, because
you're right.
You just can't have a rematch. It makes no sense.
I meant to say that too. That's where you get, obviously not the Hell in the Cell, but that's where you get the big, street fight, no disqualification kind of super violent match. Yeah, no, good call, Bill. You're 100% right on that one. All right, moving on, guys, and I thought we'd go into depth on this one, so I think we covered all the angles on this one. Really, really great job. It's an interesting situation with Becky for sure. Moving on, let's talk about the tag team titles, the 5-time tag team champions. Of course, I'm talking about Kofi Kingston. We have Xavier Woods, Big E, The New Day versus Rusev Day. Of course, we're talking about Aiden English and Rusev. Sorry, I had to get that in there. What do you guys think about this match? Oh, thank you. I've been practicing. Let's throw it over to MSD. What do you think about this one, and who's walking out with the tag titles?
Well, it's finally nice to see Rusev and English actually paired together in an official tag team capacity going for the titles. They've kind of, well, I'm going to really use a bad pun here, but they're setting the bar. Ha ha.
Nice.
I can't drink anymore.
We like cheesy here.
As we hear running from your baby.
Because they're building up Sheamus and Cesaro again, and they've won some sort of contendership match of their own. So I'm thinking this match is somehow gonna just break down, and in the end, New Day will retain just to set up the next big match for the biggest show or whatever they're calling it in Australia, and they're going to have either a tag team match or some triple threat tag match for the tag titles, because it seems like WWE's got a little awkward on how they're structuring the almost like the who's next in line to be the number one contenders. It seems like they're jumping the gun here.
Okay, fair enough. What do you got, Anti-Smark?
NFL every year they try to put together the Battle of the Bays with Green Bay and Tampa Bay. WWE has the Battle of the Days here.
Oh, wow. How did
New
I not
Day
get that?
and
There it is.
Rusev Day.
Well played, sir.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
We're all welcome.
Yeah, no, this both tag teams are very popular with the fans right now. A lot of fun coming. it's going to be the entertainment segment of our evening because we got, a couple of blood feuds here, people locked in a cage, beating the hell out of each other. Not that New Day hasn't done a great job of that with the Usos before.
Good call.
But I see this one going to Rusev Day actually, because I think, the injury to Eric Rowan kind of cut the Bludgeon Brothers short. I think the New Days were great to, that's their standby, throw the title on them, and then figure out where they're going. And, hey, let's give Rusev Day a run.
Yeah.
They're up right now. People are digging them. We put them back together for a reason. They teased that breakup or whatever, or Aiden English getting kicked out. But he saved the day at SummerSlam, and now they're together. It's for a reason.
I 100% agree. Before I throw it over to you, Bill, I'll say this. I think it was the day after SummerSlam. I went down to Atlantic City and I saw the house show. A lot, like almost the whole SmackDown Live roster was there. And Harper came out by himself. And I was like, oh, okay. And then obviously the next day, we found out Rowan was injured. It was a Tuesday night. New Day got the tag title shot. We did the math here. Kind of a quick decision. Let's throw the titles on the New Day because our tag team champs are hurt. So I think, it's nice to have that, like Mike said before, that five-time thing going on with the New Day. They have that. I don't think they need a long run. I think, to Matt's point, Rusev Day had a nice little storyline. This is happening for a reason. I think their time is now. And, it's a nice little consolation prize for Rusev, who had a big title shot against AJ Styles and a good storyline and is really over with the fans. Bill, let's throw it over to you.
I don't think WWE really cares about Rusev that much. Honestly, I feel like they had the opportunity at WrestleMania to put a belt on him. Didn't. They positioned him to be like he lost to Almas, who we all thought he was going to win. So, I don't know. I feel like the New Day is going to hold on to it. I honestly think it would behoove WWE to put it on Rusev and Aiden English because they kind of need something, whereas the New Day is kind of just an ever-present thing that everyone loves. But I just have this feeling they're going to keep it on the New Day because I don't know, they just always seem to not want to pull the trigger on Rusev after he lost to John Cena after the infamous tank match at WrestleMania. I feel like they've had a reluctance with Rusev, so I'm going to go with New Day.
Going with New Day. All right.
I hope that means Sanity beats the New Day at Survivor Series.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Sanity. Let's get Nikki Cross that women's NXT title run, and then let's get her over on SmackDown with Sanity. She's a big part of that faction, and I'm a fan. All right, moving on to the mixed tag match. Of course, the husband and wife combos here. Very interesting to kind of move along that Daniel Bryan Miz feud a little bit more. We have Brie and Daniel Bryan, and of course we have Miz and Maurice. And in a mixed tag match at Hell in a Cell, what do you guys think? What do you think is going to happen with this? I have a few ideas. Let's go throw it over to Matt over here.
Okay, if there's three things that the WWE audience likes, it's it's soap opera like drama, Daniel Bryan, and Miz getting punched in the face. And this manages to combine all three of those things. This is a good, long-lasting feud. This is slowly developed into sort of an iconic rivalry over the past, 10 plus years, or whatever. It's been 13 years in the making, or whatever it was when they talked about it last time.
Oh, the video package.
Yeah, the video package. This could be another chapter. Miz is great at eliciting disgust from people for his tactics and for his behavior, and who doesn't love the yes man? It's like I said, this is going to be the big cheer moment in between bloodlettings during the night. I see Brie punching Miz in the face one more time.
I agree.
To end the night or to end that match, and I see Daniel and Brie going over.
Really good stuff. I'm just going to pick up right after you, Matt. I think this is going to be a long feud, maybe a big stipulation match with The Miz and Daniel Bryan. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Miz got the last victory between the.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember.
He won at SummerSlam, I
at
believe.
SummerSlam, yeah. We thought Miz was going to win, and Miz is a big part of this feud. He kind of made this happen. I think Daniel Bryan and Brie get the good guy kind of win here, and Miz kind of goes on and gets the big, coup de grace kind of, so to speak, win at the end. MSD, what do you think about this mixed tag match?
I mean, like everyone's been saying, this has been the big dramatic story that's been going on for a couple months between all four. But the real story is that this is the long feud between Daniel Bryan and The Miz. It's ongoing. They've now involved their wives, which enhances the feud. And it's one of those things where I think if it was any other pairing, people would roll their eyes, say, all right, another mixed tag match, something. The women will have their cat fight. That's where things will get screwy. But I don't see that here. I see that this feud has become so big that adding Brie Bella and Maurice has added such a personal touch that I think it actually worked this time on television. It actually was successful. I was a little reluctant to agree that Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella would get the win, only because I feel like this might be one of those long feuds where Daniel Bryan will constantly lose only to get the big finish, get the big win at the end. But since this is going to be a long feud, this could go all the way to WrestleMania. So for now, I can see Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella getting one victory, one battle, and amidst this long war. Like, this is going to be back and forth. They're going to be Bryan will win some, Miz will win some. This will be one of the victories for the Team Bryan.
I agree. All right. It seems like everyone's on the same page for the most part. Bill, you got a curveball for us, or what are you thinking?
My ultimate plan here would be if we're not going to go at WrestleMania, since Daniel Bryan signed his contract. Is going to be at WWE for the foreseeable future. What I would really love to see is if we're not going to get Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles at WrestleMania, which I think would be a great match, but I don't think it's the right match for WrestleMania. I really think the match we need to see is The Miz and Daniel Bryan for the title.
Nice.
And I don't know how we get there, but I feel like The Miz, and it's just a great story, and they have great chemistry together. And I actually think their SummerSlam match wasn't very good, and I feel like they've got a better match in them. And I think the Team Bryan goes over because Brie pins Maurice after, I'll say, shenanigans of Maurice ended up colliding with The Miz or something silly like that, which I think eventually will lead to a rematch of Brie and Maurice in Evolution, since we have to fill a whole pay-per-view on that. And that would be a marquee matchup between two of WWE's, reality stars. I mean, it's not going to be Fez, Gagne or anything like that, but it's going to draw in a mainstream audience that will enjoy that. And that's what I think will happen. I don't think we'll see a pin of Bryan over Miz, or if men are allowed to pin women, I could easily see Brie somehow pinning Miz, and that would infuriate The Miz because of something Daniel Bryan did. I think we'll see Team Bryan win this one.
Oh, you heard it here first. Brie pinning The Miz. What do you got over here, Matt? I see you got a note.
No,
here.
I was just working off of what Bill just said. It's a mixed tag match, and what's the stipulation of mixed tag match? The men have to fight the men. The women have to fight the women. If they want to softball a loss for Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella, have Brie punch Miz one more time in the mouth, and he argues for a DQ.
Oh, that's very Miz-like.
That would be very Miz-like. Whether that's if they want to do it that way, they can. I mean, that's a nice. That's a.
I feel like since you're already gonna have people crap on other matches on this show, I feel like you almost could have Brie punch Miz, and then he complains about it to try to invalidate the loss. And in his mind, he never lost because they cheated. I think that's a more Miz thing to do, because, man, if they ended that on a DQ like that, man, people would just be like, "Fuck this show." I mean, we do that anyway, but I mean, it's just like that would be. I just saying, like, man, that would be a bad move if they did that.
You know what? I like how you guys kind of build off each other.
that was
nice teamwork by the panel here. And,
Listen, he's Axe, I'm Smash, somebody's Crush, and, no, Mike's Crush, and Bob, you're Mr. Fuji.
I'll take it, man. I love it, man. And I'll say this, shameless plug as always, as we do here on the Bob Culture Podcast. But I'll tell you guys this now, and I love the teamwork. You guys do a great job on the panel for Survivor Series. And you heard it here first. We are going to do Team the Bob Culture Podcast versus Team Smart to Death Podcast versus a couple other question mark opponents. So, guys, you better bring it because we're going to assemble a team for the Bob Culture Podcast. And we're going to have a little Survivor Series podcast come this November. So it's going to be good stuff, a little cross promo with some other wrestling podcasts. It's going to be good.
Great.
I'm going to pull a Big Show and get disqualified in the first elimination.
I love it. Oh, I can't wait. Good stuff. All right, guys. Enough shameless plugs here. Let's talk about the Raw Tag Team Champions, or the Raw Tag Team Championship match, I should say. We had. I called this early. I said, I put Drew Galloway. I always do that. Drew McIntyre and Ziggler. I said they were going to get the Tag Team Championships. They did. We threw them in a match with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose real quick. What was it, last Monday, I think?
Yeah.
It's going to be a good match. It's going to be solid. Yeah. I don't think Rollins and Ambrose are going to win this one. But like I always say, those Shield guys are title machines. They'll put a title on them at any time. They certainly could walk out with the titles here. But they got something going here with Ziggler, McIntyre, and Braun Strowman. In fact, I think they gave them like a name, like Dogs of War or something. I'm seeing something like that on the internet now. I don't know.
Strowman kind of referred to the whole heel unit as the Dogs of War.
Yeah, and again, maybe leading up to Survivor Series, but it's still early. They always go, we talked about this last year in Survivor Series podcast. They always go with that mob mentality kind of stuff. So it's kind of like all the bad guys versus the Shield, and there's a lot going on with that. I'm not usually a fan of that stuff, but anyway, long story short, I think McIntyre and Ziggler retain, and they'll probably keep going with that mob mentality storyline going into Survivor Series. Let's throw it over to MSD.
Ziggler and McIntyre, they just got the belts fresh off beating the B team, which I think at the last podcast we all saw coming at some point that if the B team they were gonna retain, and eventually Ziggler and McIntyre were gonna take it from them.
No, one of us thought Authors of Pain was gonna win it. Person was wrong.
That's okay.
That was me. That's what I'm talking about.
What's up, Pat? But Authors of Pain would have been another good pick to be the next, dominant tag team. But right now they're tossing it to Ziggler and McIntyre, and I think that's what they need to do. They need to keep it on them. They've really been hyping them up as a good tag team, and on the one hand, with WWE, you never know where they're gonna, who they're gonna really push going forward, because Roman Reigns, as much as we, and the thing is, they're not really focusing on Roman Reigns, where we're almost forgetting he has the Universal title because they really haven't focused on it as much.
Correct.
Except with the feud with Strowman, but typically it's been all Shield together. Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns have all been together, so they really haven't put a focus on the title. So on the one hand, you think, well, if they want to make the Shield, dominate and get back at all the heels that have been attacking them every week, let's have them hold all the gold. Let's have Reigns as Universal, Rollins and Ambrose as the tag champions. Of course, and Rollins, with the Intercontinental title. I mean, why not? Let's give them all the gold. Or on the flip side, let's keep the tag titles on Ziggler and McIntyre, and Strowman successfully wins the championship at Hell in a Cell, which the truth is that's where I'm going with this. I think they're going to establish a dominant heel faction, and it's going to go towards Survivor Series. So my pick in the very long-winded route, my pick is Ziggler and McIntyre to retain.
Good stuff. I see Matt kind of has a note real quick. What do you got, bro?
No, I'm with him on there. Ziggler and McIntyre retaining, mostly because I don't think they're looking to put all the titles on the Shield and try and keep them as the baby faces, which is what they're naturally doing. But This is going to break down pretty good. You got 4 really good performers. Ziggler and Rollins you can make the argument for either one of them being in the 1, 2, or 3 spot company wide. Dean Ambrose, very underrated. We kind of know him for being the lunatic, and he has that bloodbath past in CZW, but he really knows what he's doing out there. Drew McIntyre he's the proto Roman Reigns. He was the guy that came in, had checked off all the boxes, and then Vince says, "This guy's a future champion." We all booed him out of the building. So sounds familiar.
Yeah.
So that's
true.
He's come in and he's managed to work that big brutal heel thing, made that work for him. He's doing a great job. This will be a really good, solid match, and yeah, I'm going with Zig and Mac.
Going with Zig and Mac. I like that. Really, really good stuff, Matt. MSD, before I forget, I lost my train of thought there. I wanted to bring this up. You had said about the Universal title, something I noticed watching Raw every week, that a lot of times Reigns, especially now that they're doing the Shield thing, which I didn't see coming at all, he's not holding the Universal title at all. And even at Raw, what did it end with Roman? How did Raw end? It was him putting he threw Strowman or something.
Yeah, I think Strowman's going to choke slam him on the table while they were both standing on it, and it turned into Roman giving him the Samoan drop off the table.
That's what it was.
Into the ringside area.
That's
or
what
into
it
the
was.
ramp side area.
But no, but obviously, he comes. Roman comes out. Obviously, no belt.
He didn't even have it across his shoulder.
He did. He had nothing.
That's come up a couple times. Yeah.
Well, I was watching carefully, and I was like, "Where's the belt? Where's the belt?" Because how many times on this podcast have we talked about making this belt relevant? It's become almost irrelevant. So I thought they would really, really try to make it relevant, and I think they're missing the mark there. But I noticed the belt was on the stage. I think someone brought it out, put it on the stage, and then he held it up at the end of the show. But little things like that, like MSD said, like the belt is kind of still out of sight, out of mind, and I did not think that would be happening. We got to make this thing legitimate. Now's the time. All right, Bill, take it away.
Okay, so I honestly think that you got to keep the belts. You can't ricochet the no pun intended. You cannot. You can't ricochet the belts off of Ziggler and McIntyre this quickly.
Agreed.
Again, you have to keep it on them. You need to establish, especially they're definitely high on McIntyre, which they should be, and they need to keep it on them. They need to establish them a little bit more. And I think they have to. It has to be Ziggler McIntyre. It's a huge mistake if they move it to the Shield.
Well said. Hey, short and sweet. I completely agree. All right, guys, you guys ready to move on to the Raw Women's Championship title match? We have Rowdy.
Yes,
let's do it.
Let's go for it.
We have Rowdy Ronda Rousey versus, I guess, a big-time favorite with a lot of the panelists here on the Bob Culture Podcast, Little Miss Bliss. I'm just going to say I'm going to say Ronda Rousey's going to retain, and Alexa Bliss has already got that match set up with Trish at Evolution. I don't think that's going to be for the title in any sense. I just think Ronda's going to retain. End of story. I'm going to shoot it right back over to Bill.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one. It's you already know where Alexa's going. She doesn't really need the title right now, especially if she's gonna have Trish coming up. I mean, like it's Trish. She doesn't need this to change at all. What we need is. What we just need is the promos. That's what we need. That's all we need for Alexa and Trish to work, and we've already set the groundwork for that. The big question is, what do you do with Ronda next? Ronda is the next move Nia Jax, who's we've heard has been rehabbing in NXT. But I do think Ronda retains, but it's going to be a much longer match than we saw at SummerSlam. It has to be. You can't have 2 squash matches in a row like that. That's just kind of silly. And I think we need to see something happen there.
I think you're right.
Sadly, I think if the Anvil had not passed away, I think the move would have been for Natalya to turn on Ronda.
I agree.
But
I agree 100%.
With Anvil passing away, it's really hard, especially they did the whole Natalia has to walk away for a while. It's kind of hard to be like, okay, let's turn Natalia now. It's very hard to do something like that. So I would hope, I guess you'd have to bring Nia back as the most, reasonable contender. So I will say Ronda retains. I think it's a mistake if Alexa gets she agrees. I think it'd be wrong if Alexa walks out with the title, because she does not need the title for this. To fight Trish, should be.
No, I 100% agree, and everything you said about Natalia too. I thought I saw, obviously before things happened, that heel turn coming because they were so buddy, and I still point this out on every episode, but Natalia did make Alexa Bliss tap while Alexa Bliss was the champion, and nothing, no title shot, no nothing came of it. So I thought they were going somewhere with that, but they didn't. Let's throw it over to Matt. What do you think about, UFC fan over here? What do you think?
Yeah, just about all the points brought up about the potential there for the Natalia storyline, and it didn't happen due to regrettable and tragic reasons. That would be the only way I would see Alexa walking out of there with a win here. Short story, Ronda wins, and it seems repetitive, but one of the great things about Alexa Bliss, she's got these facial expressions you can see from the cheap seats, good comedic timing. It makes her great for playing, the classic chicken shit heel. And I would probably be running for my life from Ronda Rousey. So
yep, me too.
So Alexa Bliss, it just makes sense, and it makes for good TV.
Short and sweet. I like it. MSD, what do you got on this match?
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably be a decent match. We did not get the Bliss faking the broken arm spot at their last match.
True.
Probably won't happen again here. But regardless, I don't really have much to add except that Ronda Rousey will likely retain the title and take it with her to the women's pay-per-view.
All right, I'm so excited to talk about this match, gentlemen. We have, of course, the first Hell in a Cell match. I know Jeff Hardy has been wanting this kind of as, not to say like the end of his career, but, we kind of see what's happening with Matt Hardy now. He's definitely closer to the end of his career than the beginning of his career, and I think this is just all he wanted, was to be in a Hell in a Cell match. It came about. They put together that awesome video package on SmackDown. You guys know I'm a fan. I am stoked for this match. I'm telling Mike, Vac, he couldn't be here tonight. Yes, the streak is over, but alas, I think Jeff's going to jump off the cell, maybe into that announce table, maybe a kind of a padded announce table, or Mike's saying he's going to jump through the top of the, the middle of the cage into the ring, onto something. I don't know. But just from that video package, just from him wanting to be the Hell in a Cell, I think that's going to be kind of like his final big moment. What was it he said in the video package? Like, I've taken more risks than anybody in my career. I think that's a fair statement too. Obviously, yes, I'm a Jeff Hardy mark. So I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to let MSD take this one away.
Yeah, I mean, they've really been hyping this up that this is going to be a big moment for the career of Jeff Hardy, and this might be his Swant-ton Song for his WWE career.
Well played. I love it.
Yeah, I'm all full of crappy puns tonight.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's I'm running on very few hours of sleep, so all the bad jokes have to come out.
Oh, I love it.
Amongst other things. But yeah, this will be the moment where he does something crazy, jumps off through a table, impales himself on something. God knows what happens. And to be honest, I think the same of Randy Orton. I mean, Randy Orton just feels like a walking corpse at this point. He's
being generous.
I was going to say, I can't wait to hear what Bill has to add, but go ahead.
I mean, yeah, it's just I don't really know why Orton's still around. He's just like, he's like a lingering spirit that just won't move on to the afterlife. So honestly, if Jeff Hardy does something crazy, maybe Orton will just shrug his shoulders, throw himself off the Hell in the Cell, crash through something. Maybe he'll get impaled on God. Maybe New Jack will leave some spikes nearby or something. I'll be perfectly honest. I couldn't care less who wins this match, just as long as there's lots of bloodshed and possible just career-ending moments. But hey, let's just give it to Jeff Hardy anyway, just because this is the match he wants to go out on a high note.
Dude, really, really well said. Good stuff. And just for the record, what do you think he's going to jump off? Do you think he's going to jump off the top of the cell? I got to ask you guys that. Or do you think it's going to be some other spot? Or
I mean, unless there's some type of perch or stand higher up, it's going to be off the top of the cell. It has to be.
Has to be. Bill, I'm going to throw it to you because I just know how much you love Randy Orton. So let's throw it.
For one, I'm like sitting here in nervous anticipation of two things: of my infant spitting up on me and what Bill has to say about this match.
Good, come to me last.
All right, come to you last, Bill.
Come to me last.
Yes, sir.
It's not going to be quick.
I am scared. All right, Matt, let's throw it over to you. What do you think about this match?
Ladies and gentlemen, this match is scheduled for one fall and will include the ritual sacrifice of Jeff Hardy's body and possibly soul.
Dude, I'm nervous for him, man. Please be safe, man.
This is the match that they put out there where we're all anticipating, a moment that gets played in video packages for years to come.
Ding, ding, ding.
And this is a great match for both of these guys, the Hell in the Cell. Randy Orton, I think I'm paraphrasing some all-time greats who have been in the ring with him. Say what you want about Randy Orton, no matter how high or low profile a match is, he's always willing to give the same 42% that he puts into the other ones. Although the same guys will tell you that when he kicks it up to 65, 70%, it's something to behold. But he's great at being that vicious, cruel, that viper character. I mean, when you just look at the guy and you listen to him talk, even in casual interviews, he definitely comes off as a guy who teaches his kids to slide into third with their spikes up. That kind of a guy. And he owns it. And Jeff is just looking for this. He's 42 years old now, and he hasn't jumped off of everything in the world yet, and he's still looking for more. So yeah, this is going to be a match where I see Randy beating the living hell out of Jeff against the ring steps, choking him with the ring ropes that come loose, wrenches and chairs from underneath the table, and at the end, Jeff decides to pull the kamikaze, and his lifeless corpse will be on top of Randy when they count 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so interesting. So do you think Jeff's going to jump off the... I mean, it sounds like you do.
I hate to say it, but they really set it up to where if he doesn't, it's a disappointment. Why else would Jeff Hardy be around a tall structure?
You're right.
I mean, that's...
Do the math.
Enough people have done it over time. It's like, really... You're going to let Shane McMahon show up Jeff Hardy? I don't know. I think...
and we're talking Swanton bomb, too.
Yeah, we're talking the Swanton, which, he's got a bullseye, but can actually be, safer than a lot of other bumps because he's going complete flat back. It's a lot of surface area. But at the same time, if it's not bullseyed, it's nice knowing you.
Yeah. Interesting. Like I said, I think this match is, like you said, do the math here. We have tall structure. We have Jeff Hardy. I think he's going to do a Swanton bomb off the top. Now, how are they going to get outside of the cell? Mike had a point where he said he thinks this might be the main event of the night. I don't know. I would imagine it would be Strowman and Reigns. But if so, I could see somehow the cage being somehow broken by Braun and Roman earlier in the night, although I do think that will close the show. But somehow they're going to, something like that, where there's something broken in the cell or, how they always do it. Someone gets outside. Jeff Hardy's definitely climbing that thing. I think he's going for a swanton off the top. There's going to be some sort of landing spot for him or multiple tables or multiple announce tables, probably something else in the mix we're not thinking of. I don't think he's going to land on Randy Orton. Sorry, Bill. I don't think he's going to land on top of Randy Orton because I just don't think that would...
There was never a doubt he was going to land on Randy Orton.
Yeah. But I think that's going to be an amazing spot. The fans are going to be behind it. It's going to be a great match. I'm excited for it. I think Jeff's probably going to lose because he's going to do that spot off. He's going to do that big spot, whatever it is, and it's going to cost him. But I think it's just going to be a great match, and Orton's going to win. I hate picking against Jeff Hardy, but I think the fans are just going to appreciate Jeff more after this match. And, they're already behind him as it is. So I put a lot of thought into this. I think Orton's, walking away the winner on this one, and Jeff's just going to, like Matt said, sacrifice, but he's going to lay it all on the line, and that's what it's about. All right, Bill. Now let's hear your take on Randy Orton versus Jeff Hardy. I'm scared.
Well, my first thing I want to dissect here is Jeff Hardy jumping off the cage. Will that be spectacular is the question, because we already had this year Kevin Owens being thrown from the top of the cage. Are you really going to have two guys come off the top of a cage-like structure within months of each other? The answer is probably yes, but will it be as effective? I feel like we've kind of devalued the top of the cage spot. I'm being serious. Like I feel like the top of the cage spot is like, okay, who's going off the top of the cage? Shane McMahon, Mick Foley. Obviously, that is an iconic moment that will live forever in wrestling history. It inspired so many people to become wrestlers or get back into wrestling. But we saw Shane McMahon do it. We've seen other people do it. We've seen Mick Foley do it again, or go through the cage, the cell, I should say. Is Jeff Hardy coming off the top of the cage going to be as memorable as we think it is? The answer is I don't know if it will. Do I think he is going off the top of the cell? Absolutely. I think the more iconic moment is the Jeff Hardy ladder spot on Monday Night Raw when he came off that massive structure he climbed up to and did the Swant-ton onto Orton before. I thought probably 7, 8, 10 years ago.
Okay.
I think he's going to come off. Randy Orton will not be there because Randy Orton is not putting himself in danger. And if you wonder why Randy Orton is still around, it's because he's getting paid a fuckload of money. And if you've noticed, Randy Orton doesn't do a lot of shit in the ring. He just makes a lot of money. So, and people love him. And you know what, people? Randy Orton loves the fact you love him because he doesn't have to do a goddamn thing except his finishing move. And the reason WWE will never hire me for anything is because they'll find this podcast and be like, we can't have you because Randy Orton heard you talk shit about him. It's literally like this. So the good thing for the Hell in a Cell can be one of two ways. It's all action, all adrenaline, passion, fury, boom, 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 everything's going. It's going 100 miles an hour. It's a car crash. It's crazy. It's good times. Or you get this version of the Hell in a Cell, which will be fucking rest holds and slow moving and punch kick, because let's face it, Jeff Hardy is banged up beyond belief.
True.
You've watched it. Have you seen him hit a twist of fate? It is not what it used to be. It literally can't be. He's basically hitting a stunner at this point. He's not what he used to be. So I don't know how much he can go in this match. Randy Orton wrestles at 4 miles an hour. It is fucking rest holds and stomps and punches and him being like, look at me. Oh, I'm so great. I made $5 million this year just farting. He is terrible in the ring. This will be a slow plotting match with a couple big spots, which people will get a huge boner over for no fucking reason because it's Randy Orton. And they are surprised he did something in a match. So it's going to be an RKO spot. Randy Orton always wins. Even when he loses, he looks like the greatest thing ever. As I said in the last podcast, you bitch about Roman Reigns, you're an absolute goddamn hypocrite if you don't complain about Randy Orton, because he's a million times worse than Roman Reigns. And Randy Orton is unequivocally going to win this match. WWE does not give a shit if this is what Jeff Hardy wants. Sure, he'll get a moment, but how many moments has Jeff Hardy actually won in? All those great swanton bombs you see, he has lost those matches. So he is going to lose this match. And it is not going to be a good match. It is going to be a piece of shit.
Wow. Tell us how you really feel, Bill.
I didn't yell, so you didn't really get how I feel about it, because I will actually skip watching this match when it comes on the show. I will watch the GIFs on Twitter.
Wow. Wow.
This match is gonna I don't care. I know you love Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
People love Jeff Hardy. They love Randy Orton. This match is going to suck so bad, guys. It is going to be one of the worst Hell in a Cells you've ever seen. And you're like, oh, you're overreacting. It's Randy Orton. These are two guys who are past their prime. This is not when Randy Orton was in this cell 10 years ago, or when he fought Daniel Bryan and had that feud. He is compromised physically, and he's always been kind of compromised from a hustle standpoint too. But the fact that he is older, might not go all out, and Jeff Hardy is physically decimated. And I'm sorry, I love Jeff Hardy too. They are not going to give you the match that you think they're going to give you, and I don't understand why this went right to Hell in a Cell. The story, I guess, the history will dictate it, but it shouldn't be in Hell in a Cell. It's irresponsible for this to be Hell in a Cell from so many reasons. One, their physical health. Two, it doesn't make sense. Okay, Jeff Hardy wants this match. Oh, now we're fulfilling fantasies and wishes for WWE performers? Okay, cool. I didn't know that's what business they were in. But it's gonna be a bad match.
Wow, man. No, I mean, you have valid points. You know, their age and, past their prime. Jeff Hardy's definitely banged up. I could even see him, not. I mean, I thought he was going to kind of take a break a while ago. I knew he was banged up months ago before SummerSlam. Maybe he's going to take a little break after this. I don't know, man. I mean, valid points.
Unless he has really been saving himself for this match, Jeff Hardy is not even the same guy he was when he did that. I'll sound like an asshole when I say it, but when he did that TLC match with him and Matt against the Young Bucks, he doesn't even look like that guy, and that was a year ago. And a year and a half, I guess, at this point. He's moving slower. He is not as explosive. It's caught up to him. Or he's been hiding it, so he's been taking it easy so he could do this match and go all out. But if it's number one, not number two, it's not going to be good.
Yeah. Do you know what, just to touch upon something that Bill said earlier that we were actually talking about before we came on the air. Like I said, if Jeff goes off the cell, is it really that big of a moment anymore? And I was saying, I kind of cringe that Hell in a Cell has become an annual pay-per-view with 3 matches in a night when it used to be something that they busted out once every 2 or 3 years. It was like that. And you're going to face him at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
And it was like, and the whole building would go nuts because Hell in a Cell, oh my, that's nearly killed people. And now it's kind of like, it's going to be at Hell in the Cell, which is next month, and you can get it on the WWE Network.
Takes away from it a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of a little less special now.
Interesting.
Not to be a downer.
No.
It's like the novelty is gone, and for a lot of their big stipulation matches, when they become the marquees of a pay-per-view, it kind of devalues the novelty of it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I get that.
Like with No Way Out, there used to be the main event at least was either a cage match or Hell in the Cell, and there would be a couple of other like lumberjack matches or strap matches throughout the night to kind of fit the theme of not No Way Out, No Escape. And now it's when they do have it, it's like, I'll just do it. Just like for years, Survivor Series completely forgot to have the Survivor Series matches.
Yep.
It was just another pay-per-view, and it was the bottom of the barrel. Nobody cared. It was not. It was the redhead stepchild of the Big Four because they weren't sticking to the plan.
True.
Yeah, when they brought it back, when they have that one match, everyone digs it. Everyone's into it. Whereas Hell in a Cell, like you said, it's like it made sense when he had Sasha and Charlotte, but Jeff and Randy Orton. I mean, this feud has really just sparked since SummerSlam. Obviously, all of a sudden WWE wants to play into history, I guess, but you really haven't built this feud up for Hell in a Cell. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Good.
I don't know what their Randy Orton endgame is besides making him look better, looking him look great all the time, but he wants to kill everyone's favorites in WWE. Wouldn't be stunned if he ends up with the title by the end of the year, if that's the case.
You guys really covered it from all angles. Fantastic. No, not at all. Really, really fantastic stuff. You guys have a lot of good points. I'm looking forward to this match. I hope it's really good. I hope we get that big spot. And I hope, like Bill was saying, I hope, Jeff Hardy's been saving it up for this one. I don't know how much more Jeff Hardy we're going to get. We see what's going on with Matt Hardy, and I hope there's a lot more, but I guess we'll see on Sunday, guys. Looking forward to it. All right, here's a big one. Let's talk about, now this is not a Hell in the Cell match. We have AJ Styles again versus Samoa Joe. I'm a little, it's hard to choose on this one. I'm going to throw it to MSD. What's your take on this match, and more importantly, who do you think's walking out with the WWE Championship?
Last time we talked about Styles versus Joe, I was pretty adamant that Joe was going to draw first blood and take the championship, and I turned out to be wrong. Which, I was pleasantly surprised by the fact that they kept it on Styles. They didn't just have him lose it right away. And they've really done a great job drawing out this feud. They do the personal angle. Something we really haven't seen drawn out and performed well in recent years. I mean, they always try to make it sure it just comes off as shallow and half-assed. But with Samoa Joe and AJ Styles, they've worked together before. They know how to cut promos. They know how to draw the ire of the crowd. That's why this time I'm still going to pick Samoa Joe, because this is going to be the one where they've made it personal, and it seems like, all right, AJ Styles, he's going to come out victorious. I think this is going to be the one where somehow Samoa Joe finally gets the upper hand and takes the WWE Championship away from Styles.
Wow, all right. You think this is the time. And last time they fought, we didn't really get that full match because, Samoa Joe with the mind games. AJ lost his you-know-what. Got the DQ. And really interesting storyline. They made it personal. They made it about the family. And Samoa Joe can just make a story out of thin air. Like I always say, not the typical kind of wrestler that I like, but he's just fantastic on the mic. Just a great speaker. Really convincing heel and fantastic wrestler. I would love to see him win the champ. Huge AJ Styles fan, but I would love to see Samoa Joe win. I'll just say it right now. I think this feud goes a little bit deeper before Samoa Joe gets it. If he gets it, I'm going to say Styles holds on to it for this one, and that's a hard choice. If Samoa Joe walks out with the championship, I will not be disappointed. He's had a lot of championship opportunities, not counting NXT. He had that great match with Brock Lesnar where he got taken out with one F5, unfortunately. I could see go either way. I'm gonna stick with the Bob Culture tradition here. I'll go with Styles, but I won't be disappointed either way. Matt, what do you got?
If Samoa Joe doesn't win this, then they basically have to repeat SummerSlam, because if he gets beat up 1 month and then just gets beat the next month, I mean, where do they go from there? Does he actually have to do like a staged kidnapping of the family? We gotta go that hokey, because no, the upside is as Vac would say, the real winners are the fans, because even though they're a little bit older now, these are two guys who have had 4- and 5-star matches everywhere they've gone, including with each other. So this is, if there's a 5-star potential of the night, I mean, that's who it is, cage or not. And no, I see Joe taking it to extend the feud. Now he gets to lord it over AJ, lord it over his family, pick up his limp body and scream, "Oh, Wendy," into the camera, and this extends the feud. I mean, if he just gets beat clean, I mean, where do you go from there? And if you have AJ snap again, then you got to have a no DQ match now, don't you?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
So I mean, that's either way, AJ has to lose, either by another a mental error DQ, or Joe just walks off with it.
All right. So you think Samoa Joe's winning the title?
I think Samoa Joe is winning, and I'll go 71.5% that Joe is winning the title.
Okay, cool. I don't see AJ tapping necessarily. Probably kind of just lifeless, kind of thing. I don't see AJ tapping, but we'll see what happens. Bill, I'm really interested to see what you think about this one.
Yeah, I really thought he'd win it at SummerSlam. I like the way they ended it. They've kind of been weird with what they've been doing with AJ, like how many DQ finishes that they have with Nakamura. Yeah, and I feel like we have to have a clean winner or loser here, because we kind of figured okay, Joe could be the guy after Nakamura. But I mean, are we really going to have Joe not win? And then what does Joe do? Does Joe move to Daniel Bryan? Where does the Miz go from there? It's just kind of you have a little more creative freedom to work with Joe than I think you have with AJ now, unless you're building for AJ Styles and Randy Orton, which let's face it, that could be a legit thing.
I think the same way, but go ahead.
But God, no. Like I said, don't be despite what I'm going to say, don't be shocked if you see Randy Orton with the title by the time of the Royal Rumble. He deserves it. He hasn't held a title in a few months. So basically, I think Samoa Joe. It would be weird, the only way you could get a third match if Joe doesn't win is if that was just said before, if Styles snaps, he hits him with a chair again. And Joe goes to Paige and says, "This is bullshit. I've had him beat twice, and he has disqualified himself twice. I want a no disqualification match because I want to win the title." And I think that works, and that actually would work pretty well. And I think that might be the way to go. But I still think Joe has to win. He's got to win. If Joe doesn't win the title, what's the point of Samoa Joe at this point? He's lost, like you guys said, he's lost every title match he's been put into. He's been off WrestleMania the last 2 years, injury and for whatever reason. And so I think he's got to win. And I'll go Joe. I'm probably wrong, but I'll go with Joe. And then you could have maybe Joe cheats to win. You have a no DQ match coming up, or some sort of rules match for the rematch.
Good stuff. Yeah, a lot of interesting takes on that one. Yeah, it's hard. It really is. That one's kind of it stumped me a little bit. So again, another match. I hope there's no DQ. That's what I hope for. We'll see what happens.
They tend to get repetitive with AJ.
Yeah, seriously. All right, guys. What I would imagine would be the main event here for the Universal title in a Hell in a Cell. Of course, we have Roman Reigns versus the Monster in the Bank, who is cashing in. Of course, Braun Strowman. I'll tell you guys this. I see the cell breaking at some point. The heel turn for Braun for me was surprising. I guess it makes sense because you need Roman to kind of fight the big bad guy. Like I've always said, everything they do with Strowman has been just gold, from the comedy things to the stand-up bass. He won the greatest Royal Rumble ever. He won the Money in the Bank. He's cashing it in. I don't think Strowman's going to be one of those guys who cashes in and doesn't win it. Roman isn't even really walking around with the Universal title. Like him or hate him, I'm glad he got it. He put in the work. He went through all that stuff with Brock Lesnar. But I can see Strowman. I mean, I think it's past time for him. Not thrilled with the heel turn, but it makes sense. I'm not, angry over it or anything like that. I'm just going to say Braun Strowman wins the Universal title in this one. Big title change here. Let's throw it over to MSD.
Well, you mentioned all the stuff that Roman Reigns went through with Brock Lesnar, and I started thinking to myself, what stuff did he really go through? Lesnar wasn't even on the show 90% of the time, and Reigns was busy doing other things, and then would cut the occasional anti-Brock Lesnar corporate promo. That's the thing. The real work that Reigns had to do with Lesnar was really only maybe a month or two before their inevitable match. We all saw Reigns-Lesnar coming, and it happened, and it almost reminded me of someone's going to have to remind me what year it was when Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels had their epic match, and Shawn Michaels, oversold everything. Wasn't that a SummerSlam?
I don't know.
SummerSlam 2005.
Wow, there he is. This is why you're here.
It was a SummerSlam, and, it was like, okay, it was a big build, I mean, the promos that Shawn Michaels cut were great. They were hysterical. Definitely different than the promos we had from Reigns. But it was more of what happened afterwards. After the Shawn Michaels-Hogan match happened, that was it. It was done. Hogan disappeared, and within weeks, it was like nothing ever happened. And now we've had the same thing. Reigns beat Lesnar for the title. There's no mention of Lesnar on TV. Very little mention of Heyman on TV. And like we've covered before, Reigns isn't even holding the title when he comes out with the Shield. He's not even holding the belt. So it's almost like the Universal title as a whole has just been devalued to the point where it's a prop. It's just a MacGuffin. It's just a tool just to further some feud. Right now, that's the prop being used for Braun Strowman because, well, he's not going to cash his money in the bank on the Cruiserweight Championship or the NXT Championship.
I totally wish he would. That'd be awesome.
I would have loved if he showed up on NXT to cash in. I mean, that would have been insane. That would have been fantastic.
No, I meant the Cruiserweight title.
Oh, the Cruiserweight title. That would have been even better. That's true. That would be pretty epic to watch. I mean, Cedric Alexander just being thrown like a lawn dart would be pretty entertaining. But that's the thing. Everyone wants Strowman to win. Even with the heel turn, at this point, people will still cheer for Strowman. He's paired with, another pair of heels, Ziggler and McIntyre. But we like to see them. They're good. They perform. They don't disappoint. They're consistent. They deliver. They do everything that we want main eventers to do. Braun Strowman does that. So my pick remains Braun Strowman. But don't be surprised if the Universal title continues to be this, just a prop that's carried around, only because what else is he going to cash the money in the bank on? So, again, I'm going with Braun Strowman defeating Roman Reigns, and sadly, it's a main event that will probably not be very eventful.
All right, yeah. So some of us aren't so thrilled about these Hell in a Cell matches. We'll have to see.
Well,
they go all out.
Like Rob, like we were saying before, when we think of Hell in a Cell, we think of supposed to be these epic matches. But Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton, you could see that on main event. You could see it on SmackDown. There's nothing really special about it. And the same thing, like the fact that we're all saying we're expecting the cell to break, that Strowman and Reigns will crash through something. Like, we're expecting these things because they've become so routine. So even if it happens for a split second, there'll be that, oh my God, and then a second later it's, well, yeah, we saw that coming.
Been there. I understand what you're saying. Been there. It's not like, taking a random child from the audience and, having them become tag team champion. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Should have been Rey Mysterio.
Oh, hey, man. That's my boy. But anyway.
No, that's what I mean. It should have been fucking Rey Mysterio.
Oh, okay. I understand what you're saying, yeah. I got you. Bill, what's your take on this one? I feel like you have a curveball, but go ahead.
Yeah, I do. I think Roman Reigns is going to retain the title because I really hope so, because I can't stand watching everyone boo-hoo Roman Reigns in the chase as that plucky underdog. No, stop, he's not. But I feel like it's way too soon to take the belt off Roman and rehash the same story that we've seen a million times. Like, how many times has Roman Reigns had his short-ass title run only to go back on a year-long chase? It's really frustrating.
True.
As much as I disagree with Mike on very few things outside of his nicknames for Baron Corbin and
Bacon Corbin. It will catch on.
Hashtag Bacon Corbin. I did use that hashtag last time, by the way, just for you guys. But go ahead, Bill.
I think this match is actually going to be pretty good because I feel like Roman and Braun are just going to be like, when Roman, I think like sometimes Roman is told, don't go crazy, just do this thing. And then there's times where he does let loose and he does do good things in the ring. And I think Braun Strowman is the same way. We saw Braun Roman friggin' chain wrestle with the Big Show, and it was amazing. And like, I feel like I think these guys are going to beat the the living shit out of each other.
Yeah.
And if they don't tell them punch, kick, be slow, rest hold, these guys are just going to go at each other. And what should happen is they should go through a war. Because if Roman Reigns is going to win a match, they're going to boo the shit out of him anyway. But if you're watching a match where it's just blood's probably not going to happen, but it's table spots and it's going through the cell and chairs and whatever, and plunder, involvement from the Shield, involvement from the Dogs of War. Like, this has to be shenanigans incorporated because, that's what this feud has been built on.
I see it. I see it. The cage breaks and then shenanigans.
In fact, I would love it more. It would be more impressive if we had this giant heel faction come out trying it in the cage, and somehow Roman Reigns decides, screw it, brah, and he jumps off the top of the cage and wipes out 20 guys. Way more impressive in my mind than anything else. Probably not going to happen. But I have a feeling this match is going to be way more entertaining than we think it's going to be. But in the end, I feel like it has to be Roman Reigns who goes over. Because ultimately, I would love to see Dean Ambrose turn on Seth and Roman, and then beat Roman for the title, because just to make his character interesting. But I feel like I just cringe at the thought of another poor Roman. He lost. He needs the belt back. It's really dull, and I have a feeling they could go back to that, but I think Roman's going to retain.
You bring up some interesting points there, Bill. Really good. With the shenanigans and all that, I think, I keep saying I think they're going to bust or the cell open at some point. I could see the Shield, after that getting involved, and then the Dogs of War and that whole thing going down.
The cool thing would be if Braun Strowman wants to get the Dogs of War involved and actually picks up the cell. I mean,
yes.
That's the only thing left. He's not done, right? I mean, he's turned over a tractor trailer, he's turned over an ambulance. Why wouldn't he pick up the cell? He's the monster among men, and Ziggler and McIntyre can get in.
Love it. That's good stuff. And then the other thing you said about, I'm sitting here like, oh, what's Jeff Hardy going to land on? I don't see a bunch of people coming out, but that's another really original idea. Having that 20 pack of 20 people or whatever out there. That's I'm wondering why they're assembling this huge heel faction kind of thing against the Shield. That's a great point. I didn't even think of that. So really, really interesting take. You guys are covering all the angles here. Let's throw it over to the Anti-Smark, man. I'm fascinated with what you got over here.
Yeah, I'm right along there with Bill because I'm actually really excited for this match. These are two guys that you show them to people who aren't wrestling fans. You show them that original feud they had, which, in all honesty, that made Braun Strowman. That before that, he was a Rosebud, and then he was the even bigger guy in the black mask with the Wyatt family, and he was squashing jobbers, but that was his first big feud with somebody, and they did a great job in that. And he always does better in these gimmick matches. He has more stuff to do. This is going to be a big playground for him. The unique physicality he has, like the idea that Bill brought up of lifting the cage to let other guys in, and the two. This is Hulk versus Thor without CGI. That's always how I've seen this feud between the two of them, and I think this is part two of what's going to be something that's going to go on for the next 5, 6, 7 years. These two are going to be beating each other up in these big time matches and going at each other's throats. Like Bill, I think it's too early to take it off of Roman. More interestingly, from a storyline potential and how they've set this up is really kind of interesting, because when Braun Strowman got that briefcase, he said, everybody's on notice. Brock Lesnar, Beastie Boy, anytime I see you, I'm going to immediately cash it in, and I'm going to be the champ. And then he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't. And then SummerSlam happened, and he was waiting outside the ring, waiting, whoever's left at the end of this, I'm going to pick the bones, and I'm going to cash it in that way. And people love Braun Strowman because he's an ass kicker, and that's what people want. Everybody loves a winner. But again, how they would have cheered to death if he went in there and made a triple threat and beat them both and pinned them at the same time. But now he's doing the same thing that everybody else does when they win the briefcase. He was waiting for somebody to barely win and then stomp the hell out of him. The next night, when Roman gives the shot to Finn Balor, like people have been clamoring for the last 2 years.
Truth.
And he barely wins. That's when he comes out, and he's got the briefcase, and he's going to cash it in on a beat-up Roman. And everybody was actually still pretty excited about the idea. The radio crackles, the Sierra, Hotel, India, Echo, Lincoln, Delta, they come out, and everybody even cheers more because now it's the Shield. That might as well have been Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson coming out to protect the champ. That's, like I said, people say, are there really any real heroes or villains left? Maybe not. Maybe Roman gets protected tonight. Maybe he doesn't have the belt. Like I said, the belt hasn't been seen on TV, or he's coming out to the ring without it. He's not wearing it around his waist. There's a lot that can go on here.
Well, I was reading someone had submitted that question to site I write for, PW Insider, and they kind of answered this question. It's just like, is there really a heel? Is there really a face? And they said, yeah, if you think about it, Braun Strowman's the heel. Because think about this, Braun Strowman is, like you said, I'm going to fight anybody. But Braun Strowman waited for everyone to be done so then he could face him, and then Reigns then. So it's basically like they're coming to protect their guy who's going to get screwed by Braun Strowman. So I feel like Braun Strowman, they've made him the heel. They're forcing him to be the heel because gosh, we can't have people go Roman again. I mean, we always have that. So I feel like Strowman is the heel in this sense, but people will cheer the shit out of him if he does win. Which it's just I can see it happening, but I feel like again this is just like the wrong. WWE always finds the wrong time to do something cool. It's just like, let's put this title on Braun about 7 months after people really, 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 really wanted to see it. And when he was the hottest thing in the world. He's cooled off a bit. Let's put him on now.
I get that. But all right, guys, really, really good stuff. So Matt, you said you think Reigns is taking it?
I'm going with Roman Reigns. Hashtag LOL Roman wins.
Oh, there it is. All right, guys. Hey, really good stuff as always, guys. Of course, we got a couple cheap pops here as always. And speaking of pops, you can check out thepopbreak.com. Of course, you got some good stuff. Woo, we like that pop break. You got your Raw reviews. You got your SmackDown reviews. You got your pay-per-view reviews. You got interviews. You got some good stuff. Of course, you got to check out the podcast on iTunes, Spotify. We just had our big episode of Boardwalk Beatdown. Had an awesome interview with James Ellsworth, Miss Summer Rae. She was awesome. Super proud of that one. The boys did great. The interview with Ellsworth is up on the Pop Break right now. We're going to try to get you a bunch more interviews. Some of these indie guys, some of these superstars on TV. We're going to try to keep it going. We have the big, I haven't announced this yet, but we have the big Evolution all-women's pay-per-view coming up, and I have some fantastic ladies joining me for that one. We have Taryn, of course, from the Tag Me In Bro podcast. She does a fantastic job. We have Nuclear Cass, of course, from the Nuclear Heat podcast. Nuclear. Am I saying that correctly? Another great wrestling podcast, and we're hoping to get a couple more ladies for that one. So it's going to be a fantastic pay-per-view. It's going to be a fantastic prediction panel. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we have the Survivor Series, I'll call it Showdown, with Team Bob Culture Pop. I'm going to have like tryouts or something. You guys are going to have to go one-on-one. And it's going to be awesome versus the Team Smark to Death. And get a couple other wrestling podcasts involved, a bunch of cross-promotion, a bunch of shameless promotion. It's going to be great. Boys, thank you so much for a few minutes, guys. Enjoy the pay-per-view on Sunday. And we just got to hang. We all get together soon and hang out. And, yeah, guys, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Pablo.
All right, guys. We'll see.
Thank you, man. It's been fun.
All right, let's see if anyone comes flying off the top of the cage. We'll find out, and
Or through the cage.
or through the cage. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
It'll be me, goddammit.
Al Wilson. Al Wilson for the win.
There it is. Always. All right, guys. We're out. Peace. Hey guys, thanks for checking out this episode of the Bob Culture Podcast. Don't forget to support the show on patreon.com/Bob Culture Podcast for some great incentives. I'd like to give a shout out to my patrons JayCrow, Shannon, Krus, and of course Mike and Michelle Vermillion from Sledgepad Innovations. Sledgepad is the bass drum dampening system used by national acts like Pink, Goo Goo Dolls, Cher, Collective Soul, and a whole bunch more. Check them out at sledgepad.com. And of course, if you're a fan of the show, please subscribe on YouTube, check us out at podbean.com, and leave me a review at iTunes.